Hi, this is Mike Hendrickson from Strata and Hadoop World in New York City. I'm here with Paul Groom from Cognitio. Paul, how you doing?
I'm very well, thank you.
So you're the Chief Innovation Officer for Cognitio.
Yep.
Cognitio,
yeah. Think of it like ratio.
Yes. And Chief Innovation Officer, what are you seeing in this whole space that is cool or interesting, and what are you guys up to?
Well, I think the cool and interesting thing is the sheer breadth of people here today in terms of the businesses, the services, and the technologies wrapped around that little yellow elephant called Hadoop. I mean, the sheer scale of this, I've been through these events over a couple of years now, and the growth is just phenomenal. I mean, that's just mind-bending. My interest, going to your point, is I'm interested in empowering the enterprise and the business users that have traditional tools, business intelligence, that want to make the bridge through to Hadoop. Because at present, no matter how much they keep tuning Hadoop, it's still not ready for a BI tool to interact directly with it. And we think we have a good position for that as a solution.
So Hadoop is not ready for a BI tool to interact with it, or with?
No, think of a jackhammer interacting with Hadoop. Okay, it's incessant. You've got a continual pressure. It's an onslaught of operations. So Hadoop isn't engineered for that. At the moment, it's engineered for a heavy lift, low frequency, heavy operations. Think of the BI community. It's ultra high frequency, high complexity, high concurrency, so it's incessant. And that incessance is not something that I think Hadoop's quite ready for at present. They're engineering towards it. I'm sure in the coming years they'll get closer to it. But for now, we think that the in-memory solution sitting between the BI layer, the business layer, and the Hadoop infrastructure is a great way to go.
So in-memory, like in-memory databases, that sort of thing?
Yeah, that's Cognitio's primary proposition,
okay.
An in-memory analytical platform.
Okay, and that seems to be the darling that I've heard in about the last 6 to 8 months is in-memory databases and in-memory this, like you've got HANA from SAP and you've got other tools out there. So can you talk a little bit about what makes you guys have a special sauce versus someone else?
Well, the special sauce is that many vendors have provided a degree of in-memory. Early technologies like Ecliptex, single server. Oracle came along with Exalytics, still a single server. There's a thread there somewhere. HANA, well, they're still largely single server, but the challenge here is scale out. Hadoop is about large amounts of data. So when you're analyzing it, you need to bring large volumes into memory. Tens of terabytes, maybe even into hundreds of terabytes if people are prepared to see the value in that. So our proposition is scale out. And I think a lot of people miss the point of in-memory. They keep asking me about storage in memory.
Yeah, so an important distinction here, you're talking about scale out, not scale up.
Well, we can technically do both.
But what's the difference to you?
Well, scale out means that we are introducing more servers.
Yes.
So a single server proposition where I have a set of cores doing a piece of work, sharing a piece of memory, what we used to call SMP processing years ago. But that doesn't scale. I mean, you can put more and more memory into a point, but not when you want to start getting into tens or hundreds of terabytes of RAM. You have to scale out. You have to go across many servers. Massively parallel processing. And
Cognitio sits across that sort of environment?
Yeah, we've developed a software technology which allows in-memory analytical processing using traditional SQL, traditional ODBC, JDBC, all the things that the BI and enterprise application environments would expect. But underneath the covers, it's a lot of CPU cores being driven. And again, people miss the point about what in-memory is about. It's not about storing data in memory, it's about putting the data close to a CPU to allow the CPU to do a lot of work. And today, Intel, AMD give us multi-core CPU processing. You get 32 virtual cores. We can drive a workload through hundreds of CPUs with 32 virtual cores. So the in-memory allows those cores to be effective.
So where do you see in-memory and this technology going in the next couple of years?
Well, I think there's a greater awareness. I value the fact that I don't have to explain it as hard as I used to. People do understand the value proposition. There's a little bit of nuance there. There's a little bit more understanding about where is the value proposition in the business. So we explain about the issues of latency, frequency, complexity, and concurrency, and the imperative of time. So anybody who's going to be looking at in-memory has got to have a time imperative. They're going to be bound by SLAs that they're maybe even breaching. They've got a latency requirement where the flow of data has to come in quickly, and the operations they're running are very demanding. They've got a time window. If there isn't that time imperative, then traditional Hadoop will do the job just fine. You can put it as a batch job, wait a few hours or a day, you'll eventually get your results. But the BI community, and in fact I would argue the business community, have been educated by the Google search box. One little box, enter information, within a second or two you're guaranteed results. And that's what the BI community wants. But they're not going to get it at the moment through integration directly with Hadoop, and not with all the traditional BI tools that the industry has and loves so much.
Okay, I think I look forward to seeing where you guys take this in the future, and I hope we see you at future Strata and Hadoop Worlds in all of our events.
Oh yeah, well, we're a great participant here. We've certainly enjoyed the show. My voice is already creaking through so many conversations over the last few days, and some more today, and we'll be presenting later.
Excellent, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.